All right, guys, so we're here at UK Games Expo. I'm here with Matthew and Dave from Free League, and we're going to be going through the smorgasbord, or the Mork Borg of role-playing games.
That's not very good.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, I've been chastised for that, but anyway. We're going to be going through all the different role-playing games that you guys have got to show off. So, take us through everything here, and we'll go on a big wide circle.
Dave, you start with this one, because this is the game that got us into this whole company.
Yeah, so Mutant Year Zero is a very early title for us. For me personally, that's how I got into working with Free League in the first place, because I picked it up in a shop 5 or 6 years ago, loved it, and then carried on. It's a post-apocalyptic game. It looks at the lives of mutants, as the name suggests, and you start in your Ark, which is your kind of haven in this destroyed world, but your Ark is failing, and you have to go and explore the zone, and the game takes you from there. The game itself is our Year Zero engine, so it's a D6 dice pool with a push mechanic, so you can roll the dice again, but there's always a cost to that, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in other games as well. In Mutant, you take damage to yourself, but you also earn willpower, or mutant points in this game, and that powers your mutations, and those can be really powerful. They can also be really deadly. If you miss that when you're using a lot of mutant points, you might kill yourself in one go. It's a gritty game, it's a dark game, unforgiving in combat, so you've got to be careful, and it's great. In that same universe, we've got 4 other games. We've got Elysium, which is basically the humans in that world, in that universe. Mutant Year Zero, GenLab Alpha, where you are genetically enhanced animals. So you're intelligent, you are sentient, you are in a lab, and you've got to escape.
That one immediately appeals to me because I do quite like my anthropomorphic stuff. Yeah. Not like that. But it's very, very cool seeing that.
It's my favourite of all the different worlds. And what we haven't got here is Mutant Mechatron, which you can play a robot. And all of these come together in the Grey Death, where you having done, if you like, the initial campaigns, you all meet up and solve another mystery.
Fantastic stuff, yeah.
The great thing with each of these games is they're all mutually exclusive, so they're all in the same universe, but each game stands on its own. So you don't need Mutant Year Zero to play the others. You can take any one you like, or all of them, but you can play all standalone games that play on their own right.
Fantastic stuff. So the next one we got here is Mork Borg, as I was alluding to earlier in my terrible joke, but yes.
Mork Borg.
Mork Borg, is that
Mork? Oh yeah. Well, my wife is Swedish, and I get completely pulled across the coals if I screw up a Swedish pronunciation. So when she sees this, she'll kill me for screwing up the pronunciation. But her name is Merk as well. So
don't worry, my pronunciation of it was way worse. So, but anyway, can you tell us a little bit about this game?
You go on that.
Yeah. So Free League started out as fans of games, and they got a lot of support from other people. So initially, in English, they were publishing with Modiphius, and they were support. They want to pass on the goodness here. So this isn't actually strictly a Free League game, but Free League are publishing partners to help the guys from 2 Swedish companies that I cannot pronounce. Can you do any better?
No.
Well, one of them I can pronounce because that's an easy one. The Stockholm Cartel. And this is one of them does a lot of the layout and design for their other games as well, but here he's gone wild. And if we bring that camera down in, let me just open the page for you. This is one of my favourite pages. This is the damage table, and it covers 5 pages, and it's not a table. There's just crazy stuff throughout here. It's a wonderful thing to hold and behold. The spine has got glow-in-the-dark writing on it that you can't see in the daytime, but it comes up at night. Fabulous. So it's a work of art as well as a game. And as a game, it's incredibly funny to play. Really dark, horrible, frankly disgusting world that is definitely going to end.
Okay, well, hang on. That's not selling it, is it now? It's not disgusting.
No, but
it's a great experience. It's very grim and gritty and dark. It's definitely got a style all of its own. I think disgusting is not necessarily the word I would have chosen.
I would definitely use disgusting. The first scenario is called Rot Black Sludge, and then the scenario games get even worse after that.
Beautifully disgusting.
You haven't played, Dave, but it's hilariously disgusting. Now, tell these guys about Symbaroum.
Yes, let's hear about this. Yeah.
Okay, Symbaroum is it's a different system. It doesn't use the Year Zero engine. It's a D20 system, originally produced by a company called Järnringen, who is a little bit of history for Free League and Järnringen. Järnringen means the Iron Ring in English. There were basically 2 companies of guys who all knew each other. And to cut the story short, a few years ago or 2 years ago, they decided to merge. And so it was an obvious thing to do. They've all become Free League. So now Symbaroum has become a Free League property, but done by a company originally called the Iron Ring. The game itself is, again, it's a gritty, dark fantasy setting. It's set in a world that's just been recently colonized by humans that are fleeing terrors in their own world. There's been a big war. They've had to displace others, so they've colonized this area, and they are settling now right on the edge of Davakar Forest, a huge forest which is ancient and old and was once the home of the old civilization of the Symbar, hence the name Symbaroum. That civilization collapsed 1,000 years ago, and there are relics, there are ruins, there are treasures, and the game is about those humans trying to find their place in that world, trying to explore all those wonders, but also the nature fighting back against the influence of the colonists. There's a corruption dynamic in it, so you can use magic, you can use dark arts, but you will start to earn corruption, you'll get corrupted, and you have to deal with that. If you don't, you become one of the corrupted, and you then are the bad guy. It's a great game. We've got a lot of supplements for it. There's a long-standing campaign called The Throne of Thorns, and we've just released the 5th book for that, which is Alberator, the Haunted Waste, which is this one here. It's episode 5, and very popular. The amount of content we've got in that campaign is enormous. We've got players who've been playing it for years, literally, and are still working through it, and it's a great stuff. As you see, we've got some other content here. We've got the Monster Codex, an award-winning book for its layout and its design. It's a bestiary, but it's a really great bestiary. When I first got this, before I was working with Free League, I was running a campaign. I wanted a new antagonist for them. I looked through this, and the first one I reached was the Arax, and that was it. I didn't go any further. So these are sort of spider creatures, sort of sentient spider creatures, and the book gives you all the information about them, but it also gives you some tactical information and how they behave and what their motivations are to help the GM play them out really well in their game.
Very cool. It's nice to see like there being another sort of fantasy world out there that's very fleshed out. I've read through the core rulebook and stuff myself. Absolutely amazing. I really like the starter set for this one. It's a really good one. Really good. It's like that. The treasure hunt
set here, but it didn't arrive. I'm sure we'll be selling like hotcakes. We did.
So next up, we're going to we'll zoom through some more of these. So we've got Alien here, which is the other massive one that you guys have been working on recently. Yeah. So yeah, tell us all about this one.
Well, what is there to say? It's Alien. So it's now been released about 18 months. Since then, we've brought out a number of supplements. We've got Destroyer of Worlds, which is a 3-act cinematic scenario, enormously complex and long. Marines get to kill stuff, get to play tactically.
Get to get killed.
We also have a starter set, so if you're not sure and you don't want to go for the full book, you can get the starter set, which gives you everything you need to start the game. It's got rules, it's got a scenario, it's got dice, you've got everything you need in there.
And it is brilliant, actually. I think that's one of the best value products we're selling on the store today. Really packed.
As I say, I got a couple of the starter sets for this, and the Alien one, again, is amazing because it's got like maps, all those really nice cardstock character sheets and everything in it as well. It's a really, really nice product. That's a very sort of like immersive one. I think it's really nice.
And the other thing we have with this, it's a Year Zero engine game again, so it's a dice pool system. The cost for pushing in this is stress. So you gain extra dice, but it's a dice of stress. And that die can help you because it can roll a success, but also if you roll a 1 on that die, you're going to panic. Now, every time you push, you gain one of those, and you can't get rid of them until you find somewhere safe to relax and chill out a bit. So you get more and more of those, so you get more and more stressed. And eventually you're going to panic, and you're going to panic badly. And when you panic badly, anything can happen. It's a brilliant mechanic. It really evokes the horror, tense, thriller theme of the game. And it's received great praise from our players. They love it. It's really good. The last thing I'll say is Colonial Marines Operation Manual. So that isn't even out yet. That's not going to be released probably for another 4 to 6 weeks. It's been on pre-order, and those are being delivered to the people who pre-ordered. But here at UK Games Expo, we have some copies of it to sell.
Oh my God!
Yeah, absolutely. So a limited amount. So if people are seeing this and want to come and get it, come and find us and get it before we run out. But that is a 350-page source book giving you background on the Colonial Marines, giving you more vehicles, more weapons, more equipment, some really exciting sort of black operations, and There's a Marine campaign, 7 scenarios, 7 missions, about a third of the book. So there's a really big campaign to play through there if you want to play some Colonial Marines.
So there's 2 other roleplay games that I wanted to. There's loads of amazing ones. So obviously we've got Coriolis, which is amazing.
Yeah, actually, you talk about
it would also be remiss of me not to dive into a couple of these, but Jerry loves, one of our guys on our team loves Vaesen. Vaesen. Boom. I'm learning all the pronunciations today. But yeah, if you guys could tell us a little bit about this, because I have just fallen in love with the artwork, the world, and just the premise of the game.
Absolutely, we all have, and I think actually it surprised Dave and I just how much we enjoy it. We knew we'd love it. We're used to Free League products being really good, and Vaesen's a great example of the care and attention that we pay to what it feels like in your hand, the choice of paper.
I'm just going to say, like, obviously you can't feel this through the medium of cameras, but this book is just amazing. Like you know how sometimes you talk about there being like just amazing products that get you into worlds, and we were talking about the stuff we've seen for like Mork Borg. There we go, yeah. And obviously we had this starter set here, which obviously has had lots of really nice in-worldy stuff in it.
And that's pronounced Alien.
Colonial Marina. And then obviously you've got this, which it just feels like it's been written by someone who's like delving into the Fey world, and there's like all the descriptions and everything. It's just amazing.
Yes, it's brilliant. And it comes from a book called by a man called Johan Eckerson, and he wrote that originally in Swedish. You can find it in English, but it's really hard to find in English. And it's kind of a bit like, you're probably too young to remember, The Country Diary of the Edwardian Lady, which is
unfortunately, yes.
Fake though.
Yeah, so okay, everyone's like glossing over here, Matt. Now, and so talk about the game. Mate.
And so that book is written as though from the notes of somebody that's investigated all these things, and we've taken that style with the notes and the original illustrations, added some more illustrations, particularly for player characters and stuff like that. But it is just a marvellous game to play. You take on the role of what's called a Thursday's child, which is a human that can see the supernatural nature of the Vaesen, where other humans can't. And you get recruited in your initial adventure into the society. You inherit a castle that's really run down because the society's been on bad times. And from there, you take on missions to investigate strange occurrences and strange creatures all over the Mythic North. The Mythic North is all of Scandinavia, and it's the 19th century. It's not 1801 or 1899, it's just the 19th century. Whatever fits. You need a train, there's a train there. You want there to be no trains? Well, this place doesn't have any trains. That's fine. So you're investigating all this stuff. You build yourself up as characters, and one of the fascinating things about this is just how the system is pretty much the same as all the other games that we're talking about, the Year Zero engine, but we feel that we role-play more when we're playing Vaesen than we do with all the others.
And it comes into the setting, and that really informs the way that you approach a game, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it's got a very similar kind of feel to Tales from the Loop in terms of encouraging that role play and kind of
investigation, exploration.
Yeah, and I've been saying to people, it's almost like almost from between the lines of the writing, it encourages role playing, but you can't really put your finger on exactly why. But both of those games just really encourage players to get into the story and to narrate that story in an interesting and imaginative way, and it's great.
And it's
come and buy it.
Cozy horror, but it is also
cozy horror.
It's not alien horror. Yeah. It's more of the horror of the fairy tale
but it
the
can
Toy
be really horrific.
Tale.
I mean, there's I always say there's one adventure in A Wicked Secret where part of it is discussing the price of herring. But also the other part
is pretty horrifying, actually.
Is being on a living island that wakes up and then everybody drowns.
No spoilers, by the way.
Oh yeah, no spoilers. Don't cut that bit out.
Brilliant. So I'm just going to quickly but talk about some of these. So Tales from the Loop is obviously one of the ones that everyone is very, very familiar with. Uses that same engine as we've talked about before.
Yeah, indeed.
Very good for those people that want to dive into those kind of like 80s mysteries, but also they then took it to the next step because you've got Tales from the Flood.
Things from the Flood. Yeah.
So Things from the Flood, which moves things onto the 90s and sort of turns you into teenagers, which is very, very cool. And
it moves the world of Tales from the Loop from the 80s, and it advances that world a bit. So things have changed a little bit in the world. And again, they're both standalone games. You don't need Tales from the Loop to play Things from the Flood, but they are very similar, but with an 80s or a 90s nostalgic feel.
And the other one I want to just quickly touch on as well is this, and like I feel like I'm repeating myself, but another beautiful game, which is Forbidden Lands, which is a really, really nice fantasy adventure role-playing game that you want to dive into. And as you can see by like a lot of the stuff that we have here, you've got these amazing maps, you've got these beautiful books. The starter set is fantastic. The dice are lovely. It's one of those games that, like a friend of ours has just been absolutely obsessed with this and has just collected everything, and he's been going through it slowly. It's been amazing. But yeah, if you just give us like a quick rundown of what Forbidden Lands is about.
So again, this comes out of another art book. One of the books that Free League published a few years ago now was a collection and bringing together of all the work of Nils Gullickson, who pretty much throughout the 80s was the only Swedish role-playing game illustrator. So whatever game you were producing, Jacka, Octomona, Mutant or something, then he'd be doing the art for you. And so they collected all his art together, and actually they kickstarted that, and as a stretch goal they said, well, maybe we'll make a game out of this. and
here it is.
And here it is. And what it's done is, so it's got all, at first glance it looks like it's got all the tired old tropes of elves and dwarves, but again they've got a brilliant writer called Eric Granström, who worked on Jacka Octomona originally, one of the first people to do a really good campaign for that game. And he has twisted all those tropes, so nothing's quite as you expect. And then together they've created a really sandboxy game. So you get your map, but there's nothing on the map, well, the physical features, but none of the locations are marked, because you get a set of stickers
Into the mic, mate.
and then as your players wander around and discover the sites, you stick that site wherever your players are, and then they find the site, and this map, this version of the Forbidden Lands is your very own version.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that.
No two versions will be the same, yes.
And of course, one thing we're not selling here today, but it's worth saying today, is if you can't get to UK Games Expo, then next week we're starting another Kickstarter for a further expansion, this time going west into the Blood March, and also producing a bestiary of the, I think it's going to be called the Book of Beasts, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So look out for that if you can't come to UK Games Expo.
Wow. So there you go. That was a roundup of all of the amazing role-playing games that Free League got to show off here today.
If I can just say one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
I'd just like to say that Vaesen, we are very delighted to say, has been nominated for the best RPG here at UK Games Expo this year. So fingers crossed, and thanks to anybody who may be voting for that. That's great.
Yeah.
And secondly, Destroyer of Worlds, the cinematic scenario by Drew Gasker, is up for best scenario. So again, thank you for the nomination, and thank you to everyone who's voting for that. Vote for them, please. We'd love to win some more awards, and thank you very much for that.
If you get those votes in, you've still got plenty of time. It's all going to be done on the last day, so make sure you get those thumbs up in there. I know that Jerry would be really happy if that got the nominations and got through to the end of Vaesen. It'd be really, really cool.
Yeah,
but yes, loads of amazing role-playing games from Free League. Absolutely tons for you to dive into. Maybe you're here over the weekend, you could pick one of these up, sit down with your friends, start going through a starter box or something, and just have some fun. It'd be great with like Tales from the Loop or something like that. It'd be fantastic. So yes, thank you very much, guys. Brilliant. I'm sure you'll be very, very impressed with all of the things we've seen here today. Let us know down in the comments if you're a massive role-playing game fan. We'll be back in another video very, very soon.